I've got to talk to you, Mrs. Phillips.
Please, go away. I want to be left alone.
But I found out why it was your husband wanted to see me. It was in connection with the bill of sale.
Come in.
Thank you. What do you know about a man named George Reynolds?
George Reynolds?
Yes.
Why, that's the man my husband claimed sold in the Iridium.
And what did Reynolds claim?
Reynolds disappeared.
Yes?
About 2 months ago, my husband grew suspicious that something was wrong. Since then, he tried in every way to locate Reynolds, but could find no trace of him.
I don't get it. Your husband could have proved he made a legitimate deal by showing the bill of sale he got from Reynolds.
And there was a bill of sale?
Yes, of course there was.
My husband swore there was, but at the time of his arrest, he couldn't find it. It was mysteriously missing.
Well, then if your husband could have shown proof, it would have been George Reynolds who would have faced the prison term.
Eugene was convinced that Reynolds had stolen the bill of sale. He was the only one who had reason to eliminate evidence of the transaction.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Oh, if you'd only come sooner, Mr. Bigelow. My husband might be alive today.
I know. The only thing that puzzles me, Mrs. Phillips, is that you haven't asked how I knew there was a bill of sale.
Mr. Holliday isn't in. He should be back shortly.
I think you're the one who can help me, Miss Foster. Mr. Phillips tried to reach someone else before he called me yesterday, didn't he?
Why don't you ask Mr. Holliday?
Obviously, Mr. Halliday wasn't here yesterday, or he wouldn't have had to learn from you that Phillips called me. And you're the logical person to know who else Phillips called.
I don't believe that's any of your business, Mr. Bigelow.
Don't think you're revealing anything confidential, Miss Foster. I know that he tried to reach someone else. Mrs. Phillips told
You're
me.
bluffing, Mr. Bigelow. I don't know what you're after, but you're trying to trick me. Mrs. Phillips didn't tell you a thing.
How do you know that?
Mrs. Phillips knows nothing about it.
She doesn't. Well, why wouldn't she? Wait a minute. I was talking about George Reynolds. Who did you think I meant? Who is it that Mrs. Phillips doesn't know about?
I told you before, that's none of your business.
I'm going to give it to you straight. Phillips was murdered.
Murdered? I don't believe
Me because he needed me to clear him. Phillips is innocent. Innocent men don't have to jump out of windows. Just who are you trying to protect, Miss Foster? Why are you so afraid to tell the truth?
I'm not protecting anybody. I haven't any more to say.
All right, young lady. Listen to me. This thing's going to explode wide open. You got nothing to hide. You better start talking. Or maybe you are mixed up in this. Then come on.
Mr. Phillips called Marla Rakubian. I went to see her yesterday morning.
Who's Marla Rakubian?
She's a model. She and Mr. Phillips used to be quite friendly, but he hadn't been seeing her for quite some time.
Come on.
Last couple of months he'd been trying to locate her and finally learned where she lived yesterday morning. When he returned from seeing her, he was terribly upset and excited. That's when he had me put in the calls for you. When he couldn't reach you, he went home. The last time I saw him alive.
Give me Marla Rakubian's address.
I don't think Mr. Phillips realized I was aware of his friendship with Marla Rakubian, and out of respect for him, I never intended to tell anybody. I had no idea that she had anything to do with the trouble he was in.
I admire your discretion, Miss Foster. You know, you must be pretty friendly with Stanley, Miss Foster. He knew how desperately his brother tried to reach me yesterday, and he wasn't even here at the time. And now you seem to know all about what happened at Mrs. Phillips' apartment. Miss Rakubian?
Yes? What do you want? Get out of here or I'll call...
Go ahead, call him. Well, go ahead, call him. I'm going on a trip, huh?
Yes, going away for the week.
Sailing for Buenos Aires tomorrow, some weekend.
I'll send you a postcard. Now get out of here.
Who are you going with? George Reynolds?
Never heard of...
I suppose you've never heard of Eugene Phillips either.
Just who are you? What do you want?
Never mind who I am. Where's Reynolds?
I told you I don't know him. Now will you get out of here and leave me alone?
So you've never heard of George Reynolds, huh? And don't try to tell me this isn't him, because I've seen
If you
him.
think you can scare me, you're...
Phillips came here yesterday, and right after he left, he was pushed out of a 6-story window.
pushed. Phillips committed suicide.
Your playmate Reynolds murdered Phillips. Then he went up to San Francisco to get me, because I knew about a certain bill of sale.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're in this right up to your pretty little neck.
I'm not mixed up in anything. Get your hands up. Drop that picture on the couch. Turn around. Don't get any ideas because I'm not afraid to use this. Give me your wallet. Frank Bigelow, Hotel Alex.
All right, now where's Reynolds?
I don't know. I don't know where he is.
That what you told Phillips yesterday?
I told him exactly what I'm telling you. I haven't heard from him in months.
Yeah? Well, you're mighty careful of the picture of the man you haven't heard from in months. What does the Ray stand for?
Was a pet name. Do you mind?
Oh, it sounds very cozy, Miss Rakubian. You and Reynolds call each other pet names while you make a sucker out of Phillips.
Phillips made the deal because he wanted it.
Yeah? Well, I'll bet you weren't above using what it takes to help him make him want it. Who's paying for this trip?
I am.
Really? A voice class trip to Buenos Aires on a model salary? Don't make me laugh. Since you and Reynolds aren't seeing each other anymore, you don't mind if I keep this, do you?
If I were a man, I'd punch your dirty face in.
You know, I really believe you would. Oh, I almost forgot. Your tickets. Don't be surprised if I'm there to see you off.
Angelo. Angelo! Oh, Angelo. Do you remember taking this picture of George Reynolds?
I take so many pictures, I can't remember them all.
This gentleman is a friend of his and would like his address. We have no card on him.
I don't think we ought to do that.
He's willing to pay $20 for it.
That's the paper we used last year.
Of course, you understand, we usually don't give out the information about our client.
I know, you're a couple of high-class fellows.
Thank you. Revealing anything confidential is against the ethics of our establishment.
That's right. Honesty is the best policy.
Of course. But in your case, inasmuch as you're a personal friend of Mr. Reynolds.
Thanks, I knew you'd come through.
Here it is. We don't have his address. He must have called for the picture.
But he couldn't have been a very good friend of yours, mister, because his name is not George Reynolds.
It isn't? Well, what is it?
It's
Huh? Oh. Here.
It's Raymond Rakubi.
Rakubian?
What's so unusual about that? The picture's signed Ray, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.